Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Tommy C, and this is Shot from the Point News. As you may have already heard, Leafy's been banned from Twitch. No warning, no temporary suspension, just like YouTube, out the door. Twitch has been a little more consistent with this kind of stuff in the past. Bans out of nowhere. Of course, that is not the case on YouTube. They have a strike system, but Twitch has used a suspension system for apparently what Leafy was banned for. Potentially, that was uttering an N-word. And we've seen other creators on the platform utter that word before and simply get a temporary ban. Of course, Leafy is gone now. Now, you can check out videos by Augie RFC, which I recommend, and The Quartering, and they cover the details of this and get outraged over it and say it's over. I don't want to do that. I'm going to editorialize this particular news video more than I normally would. Because I just want to give you my thoughts on it, and you can take it or leave it or think about it or just forget about it all together. First of all, I wasn't terribly surprised or even up in arms like a lot of other people were, because now I have not heard this from Leafy himself. No one has told me this. I think the YouTube ban was deliberate. I think he was deliberately challenging YouTube, and I think he did much the same thing on Twitch. So, I think he knew what to do, what buttons to push to get kicked off of YouTube, and I think he did exactly that. And reportedly, he said the N-word. We've seen in the past when a creator said the N-word on Twitch that they've had a temporary ban, and we're seeing these social media companies just kind of bypass their own discipline program or what they would traditionally do with somebody else, and depending on who the creator is and how they feel about them, they'll just, hey, we reserve the right to kick anybody for any reason at any time. But when usually asked about it, oh no, we have a whole process we have to go through for our staff. No, it's just it's that simple. In fact, I can kind of prove that here. Rod put this up. The safety of our community is our top priority, and we reserve the right to spend any account for conduct that violates the rules. So even any violation could be off the platform, no problem, especially if you command a big audience like Leafy does, or what we determine to be inappropriate, harmful, or put our community at risk. Give me a break, community at risk. He's not coming over. He's not coming to your house with a Jason mask. But this is the kind of language we've seen from these corporations before, and more it's becoming a part of it's the vernacular of somebody off the street or your average internet user. I'll get into that later. So again, I believe Leafy has done this on purpose. It might have been for the lulz. It might have been just he kind of said on Mom's Basement, this is kind of a fire way to go out. That's a quote. It might be for that. And in this process, he's managed to rip the masks off of so many former free speech advocates and people that stood up to corporations like YouTube and Twitch and said that stuff like this was ridiculous in the past. When it comes to Leafy, it's like, I'm for free speech, but. And it's pretty wild. I really can't say how I know this, and I know this is going to sound particularly awful, but it is an editorial. Something happened behind the scenes, and this is not any contact with me and Leafy. None, zero. He has not said why he's done this or that he has done this on purpose, to make this clear. But there's something I heard behind the scenes that makes me think there was some kind of plan with the Pokemon videos. And the fact that he uttered the N-word on Twitch, which is a super no-no, and coming off, I think there's a very good chance he's doing this on purpose. I just don't know why. I have no clue why. And it's too bad because I really did like his videos. I really did like his commentary because it was honest up front and black-pilled as the F word. So, yeah, I think he's done this, but whether he intended to do this or not, and one of the themes with Leafy's videos when he came back is these people aren't who they think they are. By him getting clipped from Twitch and clipped from YouTube, he has just ripped the mask off people that you would have never, ever, ever thought would have rationalized their way to him being banned. Recently, iDubbbz, of all people, said that, rationalize him being kicked off of YouTube in a recent podcast, which I find really funny because Leafy gave me a statement that was covered on Scarce, that was covered on, Scarce is a news program, that he felt that he thought it was a ripoff, that the one video, the Leafy content cop, was taken off. And that's a video about him. Many people believe, although there's more nuance to it than that, that is the video that changed the course of Leafy's career to 2016, which would lead to the end of it in September of 2017. And there's an argument to be made for it. I don't say it's particularly true. I think it's a conglomerate of things, but that's another video for another time. And iDubbbz was rationalizing it. We all know about Asmongold. In some cases, people can change over the years, but did they change over several months? In Asmongold's case, it's me and not for thee. If it's his friends, then it's censorship. If anybody else, it's you deserve it. That has been very well documented on Brittany Vendney's videos on Asmongold. I highly recommend. She's another one that's black-pilled as F. Yeah, you should check out and show what phonies these folks are. And most recently, and what saddens me the most, I saw, Gamergate's own Chris Ray-lej3ken sort of rationalizing it. I've seen him go after Nick and say, well, nope, this is above and beyond. This is too much. So we're seeing a pattern here. We're seeing a pattern of people that have made it and fought back and stood up against these companies and stood with each other. But they're good now. They're established. So now we're going to start to use the language of safety. We're going to use the language of, this is above and beyond. This is ridiculous. This is over the top. Oh my God, I would never do this. And just because it's Leafy, and Leafy's not the nicest guy in the world. He hasn't made he's probably made more friends than enemies in the YouTube world. But it's so funny to watch this mask-ripping effect every time Leafy gets kicked off a platform. Again, I mean, look, it's not a big secret. The guy's loaded. He doesn't need the money from YouTube. If anything, my personal interactions with him, the recent videos he posted on YouTube, were not about money. It was really about stirring the pot, and stir the pot he did. And I'm actually kind of grateful. It's becoming more and more clear to me. My faith in those who participated in Gamergate was totally and completely misplaced. And it's actually gotten me in trouble back in 2018. If you can remember me sticking up for Ian Miles Chung, Monday Matt. I'm not going to go as far as Crowd T, but being in that environment of these former Gamergaters, yeah, I'm starting to believe that, iDubbbz isn't who he says he is, or at least he doesn't stand for the things he once stood for. I think that'd be fair to say. I'm starting to wonder about, Chris Ray-lej3ken. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder. Why would you? What happened to you? Look, I don't like this guy, but he shouldn't get kicked off the platform instead of finding ways where it's completely acceptable. Just because it's predictable that he got kicked off of Twitch doesn't mean it's good. It's acceptable. Now, I understand we all got to play in a certain rule set, but I'm sorry. Had this happened in 2014, guys like Chris Ray-lej3ken would have been activated. They would have been activated. So, we're seeing, and in the case of Asmongold, you could just look back to his statements as early as 2019. Where he found this unacceptable, where he defended his use of the other F word. Why? Why now? Because it's my friends? Well, yeah, we saw that with Chris Ray-lej3ken too. Nick DiOrio supposedly went all over the top. He went too far with Bunty King. A couple years ago, he defended it. He would have said, I disavow this, but I defend it on the free speech grounds. And these companies have a moral obligation, a lot of them are American, to protect the First Amendment in principle. Do they have to? No. Should they? Yes. Absolutely. Should we put pressure on them? Yes. So the next question is, why aren't we putting pressure on them? Well, I have a theory. Let's go to this right here. When you say things I don't like, you don't deserve any platforms. And, of course, Turkey Tom put this up, and Leafy made a political statement earlier, and this particular individual, and this is only one guy, communism is worse than racism. The First Amendment protects political speech first and foremost. First and foremost. Even somebody who isn't an absolutist, even somebody who's hazy on the First Amendment and maybe doesn't think it's a good idea, it protects political speech. whether you find it offensive or not. I don't even find that to be that personally offensive of a statement. In the 20th century, let's say, I would think worldwide communism had much more victims. Cameron Allen Jones says, I don't care if it's just trolling, bro. You should. You should. When you say stuff like this, you don't deserve any platforms. I believe that this is becoming the common way to look at things, even from fans. Ideological supremacy. In other words, any argument against their values, their political values, their personal values, we don't look at other people look, we go different places, different cultures, they have different values, all right? But one value that we all share is, let's take something like murder. Murder. Everybody in every culture knows that murder's wrong. What these guys have taken this to, and I'm not just talking about SJWs, I'm talking about people in general. People in general, and that might be why you've seen Asmongold and iDubbbz and Chris Reagan kind of shift, because they have a lot of these fans now. Ideological supremacist. They think everything that challenges their worldview, challenges their values, ideas, is akin to arguing for murder. That's what it's become. That's what it's become. You have a disagreement on, let's take something about immigration. Oh my God, you're such a bigot. You're arguing for murder. You have a disagreement on mail-in ballots. You're arguing for murder. Now, they might not exactly say that, but they sure fight like that. And there's a lot of people, more and more and more, I'm seeing people like this come into the sphere. And you know what? The liberals are no exception. And this is why iDubbbz and Asmongold and Chris Reagan should be concerned. Destiny had a political opinion. He gets Twitch. Sidetwist Legal is emailing me telling me they're revoking my Twitch partnership because of some unspecified encouragement of violence. Now, he knows what that particularly that was. It was due to some of his comments based on what happened in Wisconsin, but it's a political opinion nonetheless. Nice. There goes my Discord partnership too. Sorry, I apologize for my previous takes. I support cops being killed and cities being burned. My bad. So he found out of the partner program. YouTube puts this thing out. If a creator's off-platform behavior harms our ecosystem, we take action to protect the community. We suspended Nelk channel from partner program because they encourage a large number of people to disregard social distancing guidelines, creating a large public health risk. What if the government was giving us a bunch of crap about COVID? Pretend. I'm not saying they are. And there was some kind of protest. Now, YouTube is law enforcement? And they're also giving you the Twitch line. The Twitch way of doing things is seeping in to the way YouTube do it. We can just get rid of you anytime, any place. Strike system be damned. And it really has to do with how big you get. That's when you might be, subject to strike when you're out. Quartering says, this is legit terrifying. YouTube will never enforce this evenly. They haven't. And I don't know if they should. I don't want Hassan taken down for Americans Deserve 9/11. I find that personally repulsive. But it's really no different than communism was worse than racism because it's a political opinion. Hassan believes that America kind of asked for it because they're foreign policy. I certainly would disagree with that, but it's no difference than communism is worse than racism. Again, communism probably took out a lot more in the 20th century. And I'd argue that communism encourages racism. So you're seeing stuff like this all the time. So what happened? Well, this happened. Some of it, I hate to say it, it's you. You're tolerating it where you didn't tolerate it a couple years ago. The same people that stood up to the man being the corporations, the big social media platforms, are now like, yeah, well, maybe. Instead of sticking with somebody you don't like on principle. Because they're terrified of losing their jobs. We're not going to have any iDubbbz anymore. We're not going to have anybody like that. We're not going to have these guys because they're just going to play around so they keep their YouTube jobs. And it's abundantly clear. If anybody gets big enough, no, could I say that communism is worse than racism and get away with it? Yeah, only 40,000 subs. Could somebody over 1 million? Probably not. Probably not. And it's supported by people like Cameron Allen Jones, who can't possibly conceive that there is another side to the argument. He can't possibly conceive that there's nuance. How do I know that? I don't care if it's just trolling. Okay. So if it's just a joke, you think people should be banned? I mean, yeah, no nuance, no jokes, no nothing. This is fun society, folks. Yet I see people on my side, the quartering side, Nick DiOrio's side, sticking up for Hassan on principle, but not necessarily for what he said. We're seeing a real divide. That's what Leafy's done by getting. If that was his 4D underwater chess move, whoa, what a move! Completely mind blowing. I don't believe that. Leafy's a smart guy. I don't know if he's that slick, and I don't think he's that politically motivated either. But just a big bout. This is where we're at. What needs to be done? All right. Here's my opinion. Here's my editorial. Government's got to get involved, unfortunately. Tommy. Yes. I think in this particular case, before the government gets involved to empower the social media companies to do this even more. We see more of what we're seeing rather than less. People just being erased from public life if they don't hold the right values. Declare social media the public space. And with that, you're going to get some pretty ugly people rising to the top. Communists and white supremacists and all that. But yes, that's right. They're going to draw a fan base, and you have to put up with it. Absolutely. You might not have to pay them. You don't have to give ad revenue. But we should declare this the public square, public space. And people can say whatever outrageous things they want to say. They can make how many videos they want on public figures. Harassment is not an excuse to silence people on their opinions and criticism. It's just not enough. There's already laws for incitement to violence. There's already laws out there. And saying Pokimane has a boyfriend is not an incitement to violence. Thank you very much. I might be streaming in the arcade. Link is in the description down below. Get the notification. Thank you for hearing me out.